On January 24, 1965, the morning sun cut through the night's darkness and the cold fall. It was just 8 in the morning, and in Damascus, the capital of Syria, a man named Kamel Amin Thabet was busy hastily sending radio messages in his apartment. For the last 3 years, he'd been leaking secret Syrian intelligence to his handlers from inside the country. This was his last mission, and after this, he was going to return to his country, his wife, and his children for good. But perhaps fate had something else in store for him. He had no idea that someone was tracking his radio signal and had reached his door. Kamel Amin Thabet's fingers were still busy pressing the buttons of the radio transmitter when Syrian army soldiers quickly entered his house and surrounded him from all sides. Kamel Amin Thabet was none other than Eli Cohen, an agent of the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad, who had established such a hold in the political corridors of Syria that due to his sharp mind and capabilities, President Amin al-Hafiz himself wanted to make him the deputy defense minister. Meanwhile, some top Syrian leaders and businessmen wanted to make him their prime minister. When his true identity came to light, everyone from Syria's top ministers and army generals to the president himself was left stunned. Let's learn the unique story of the life of Eli Cohen, the greatest spy in the world of intelligence.
He is considered one of, if not the greatest, spies in the history of Israel's fabled intelligence agency, the Mossad.
He was not just a spy, he was Israel's secret weapon.
We are speaking of Eli Cohen, who managed to infiltrate the highest levels of the Syrian government and military.
But his daring mission came at a cost that would break hearts and echo through generations. Much of Israel's military success in the Six-Day War is attributed to Cohen's efforts. Who was Eli Cohen, and how did his story shape the fate of a nation?
Though Ben Shah Cohen was born on December 26, 1924, in a Jewish family in the Mediterranean coastal city of Alexandria, Egypt, his father, Shah Cohen, a businessman, left Syria for Egypt in 1914 seeking better opportunities. Eli Cohen's family was quite large, and he was one of 8 siblings. Eli Cohen completed his primary education at a local Jewish community school. He was very fond of learning new things since childhood. He would often sit on his home's balcony and memorize the license plates of passing cars just by seeing them once. His memory was sharp since childhood. He was also deeply interested in Jewish religious education and Talmudic studies. For this reason, he later took admission in Midrash Ramban. After completing his Talmudic studies, Eli Cohen started studying electrical engineering at the University of Alexandria. During World War I, rising anti-Semitism in Europe and Arab countries forced hundreds of thousands of Jews to flee and settle in Palestine. 1948. Israel, a Jewish nation. Arab countries were angry over Israel's creation from Palestine. While they tried to annihilate Israel by waging a failed war, the atrocities against Jews in Arab countries increased even more. Incidents of anti-Semitism also increased in Egypt. Jews were being jailed without any fault, and their properties were being seized. Disturbed by such incidents, Eli Cohen's family left Egypt and settled in Israel in 1949. But Eli Cohen decided to stay in Egypt to complete his studies and do risky activist work with Zionist underground groups. In the early 1950s, he participated in several Israeli covert operations in Egypt, including Operation Goshen, which aimed to send Egyptian Jews to Israel. In its conflict with Egypt, Israel sought support from France, Britain, and the US to strengthen its position. To turn these 3 countries against Egypt, Israel launched the Lavon Affair, an undercover operation there. For this, some local Jews living in Egypt were recruited and were called to Israel for 3 months of basic intelligence training. Eli Cohen was also part of this team, and he emerged as a skilled radio operator during the training. After training, Israeli intelligence launched this conspiracy in Egypt in 1954. Israeli agents launched false flag attacks on civilian targets in Egypt, Britain, and the US, like cinemas and libraries. But the blame for these attacks was cleverly placed on the Muslim Brotherhood, Egyptian communists, or local nationalists. In this way, Israel wanted to create an atmosphere of violence and instability in Egypt so that Britain would maintain its years-long occupation of the Suez Canal and not withdraw its troops stationed there. But soon, Egypt exposed this Israeli conspiracy and arrested several intelligence agents responsible for it. Eli Cohen's name was also among those arrested, but the investigation officers could not find any concrete evidence against him, so they had to release Eli Cohen. But in 1956, when Israel, Britain, and France attacked Egypt, sparking the Suez War, Israel-Egypt relations severely worsened. Egypt issued an order for all Jews living there to leave the country immediately. Forced home. Since Eli Cohen's family was Syrian Jewish and had migrated from Syria to Egypt, Eli Cohen had knowledge of different languages, cultures, and traditions from the very beginning. He could speak Arabic, French, English, Italian, and Hebrew fluently, and he was also proficient in speaking different Arabic dialects like Egyptian, Syrian, and Lebanese. Eli Cohen wanted to work for the Israeli military agency, so just 5 days after arriving in Israel, he interviewed with the agency. Due to his skill in multiple languages, he easily got a job as a translator and counterintelligence analyst with Israeli military intelligence. Here, he would read newspapers from Arab countries, and whatever news he found relevant, he would translate it into Hebrew and pass it on to the counterintelligence team. However, there was no thrill in this work, so he gradually began to find it boring. He wanted to do something exciting, so he decided to join Mossad as an agent. For this, he interviewed with Mossad twice in a row, but Mossad rejected him both times, deeming him unfit for a field job. Eli Cohen felt very bad about this. In anger, he resigned from his translator job and joined an insurance office in Tel Aviv as a filing clerk. 2 years passed in all this, and in 1959, Eli Cohen married Nadia Majal, an Iraqi Jew with whom he had 3 children. Meanwhile, Egypt grew very powerful under Gamal Abdel Nasser. After nationalizing the Suez Canal, Nasser wanted to unite all Arab countries against powers like America and Israel. In the campaign to create a pan-Arab state, Egypt had joined with Syria to form the United Arab Republic. Israel saw this as a serious threat to itself. In such a situation, the Israeli government decided to send its spies to both Egypt and Syria so that it could obtain their secret information. Seeking perfect special agents, Mossad Director General Mir Amit reviewed the files of previously rejected candidates. He found Eli Cohen the perfect choice for spying in Syria. His brilliant personality, excellent understanding of Arab culture, and being multilingual set him apart from the other candidates. The decision to join Mossad was going to completely change Eli Cohen's life. And in the future, with his acumen, he was about to achieve a status and respect in the Jewish community that no spy had ever achieved. In 1960, Mossad trained him for 6 months at their school to become an undercover agent. He was taught many techniques such as handling weapons, map reading, attacking enemies, and cryptography. Many items would be placed on a table in front of him, and he would have to memorize all of them with full details within a few seconds. His familiarity with Arab culture, language, and the Syrian dialect meant his geographical and language training was easy. After this, he was taught the intricacies of surviving hidden among enemies, obtaining secret information from right under their noses, and then transmitting it to Israel via radio. After 6 months of rigorous training, his Israeli identity was erased, and he was given a fake identity. According to this identity, Eli Cohen had now become a businessman named Kamel Amin Thabet, who was born in Beirut to a Syrian family. With his new identity, his family moved to Argentina, where Kamel Amin Thabet ran his textile business. To solidify this fake identity of Eli Cohen, Mossad sent him to Buenos Aires, Argentina, in 1961 with this background. He couldn't even tell his wife about this secret mission. So Eli Cohen had lied to his wife Nadia, saying that he had been posted in Europe as an officer for the Israeli Ministry of Defense. In Buenos Aires, Eli Cohen, as Kamel Amin Thabet, quickly connected with influential Syrians. He also befriended many Syrian military personnel. He would host expensive parties there and try to get close to all the important people by inviting them. To get closer to the Syrian people, he heavily criticized his own country, Israel. People began to trust him a lot due to his lavish spending and grand talks. He also extended his reach to the Damascene expatriate community, Turcos, and started visiting the Arab Club regularly. Here, he met Syria's military attaché, General Amin al-Hafez, who was in exile here. In fact, during this time, there was major political turmoil in Syria, and Nazim al-Qudsi, who became the president of Syria after dissolving Nasser's United Arab Republic, saw General Amin al-Hafez as a threat to himself. Therefore, he had sent Amin al-Hafez to Argentina in exile as a military attaché. During this time, the Ba'ath party was trying to gain power in Syria. Amin al-Hafez held a very high status in the Ba'ath party, and there was a high chance he would become the president of Syria in the future. So, Eli Cohen also wanted his friendship. He also won the trust of Amin al-Hafez with his words. Eli Cohen told him, "General, it is heard that you are the leader who is going to change Syria's dire situation." Amin al-Hafez's face lit up with joy at the praise. He was so pleased that he invited Eli Cohen to his office, where he shared hints of his political plans and also mentioned that his party was soon coming to power. It was the magic of Eli Cohen's personality that everyone was drawn to him. Similarly, he also won the trust of Abdi al-Latif al-Hussein, the editor-in-chief of the Arab World newspaper, who was a man with high connections in Arab society. Eli Cohen portrayed himself as a great well-wisher of Syria to Abdi al-Latif al-Hussein and obtained a letter of recommendation from him to settle easily in Syria. By now, Eli Cohen's backstory had become strong, and he had made many important contacts. So Mossad sent him to Syria in 1962 for the real mission. He took a luxurious house there in the Abu Rumana area of Damascus, where many ambassadors, diplomats, and elite politicians lived nearby. Also, the military headquarters was nearby. This place was going to be very helpful for Eli Cohen. After settling down well in Damascus, Eli Cohen started his textile business here as well. To run the business, he spent money like water, which soon made his business take off here as well, and he began to be counted among Syria's top businessmen. With his growing status and reach, he started spending hours in cafes with influential locals. He would listen intently to all of their political gossip. Whatever information Eli Cohen deemed important, he would cleverly pass it on to Mossad. For this, he sometimes used radio transmissions and at other times used secret letters written in invisible ink. Syria's elite were now proudly calling Eli Cohen a friend. Their trust in him was growing more and more. The effect of this was that the parties held in cafes now reached Eli Cohen's flat. At his parties, high-ranking military officers, ministers, and businessmen were served the world's finest liquor. As soon as the liquor went in, the secrets started coming out. For those who stayed away from alcohol, Eli Cohen would arrange for women. He would send women to government and army officials who were Mossad agents. The women would first trap them in their web with their charms and then extract secret information from them to pass on to Mossad. This kept Israel up to date with all the news from Syria. Eli Cohen now decided to visit Syria's strategically important military locations to find out even more crucial information. The letter of recommendation from Abdi al-Latif al-Hussein was a game changer for him. With this help, he befriended Lieutenant Moazi Zareddin, the nephew of the Syrian army's commander-in-chief, Abdel Karim Zareddin. Moazi Zareddin really liked Eli Cohen's passion, so he also took him on several visits to Syria's southern frontier zone. He secretly took photographs of these locations, made sketches of Syrian military positions, and passed the exact data of the Syrian bunkers and artillery present here to the Israeli military. After this, Eli Cohen turned his attention to the Golan Heights, which was Syria's most important location for Israel. Eli Cohen also reached the Golan Heights by using Mossad already. Upon reaching the Golan Heights, he thoroughly understood the hidden Syrian fortifications and weapon deployments there. Eli Cohen saw that due to its high altitude, the Golan Heights gave the Syrians the strategic advantage, providing them with a clear view of the Israeli territory below. Lieutenant Mossad already also showed Eli Cohen a map detailing the fortifications to be built. During this time, Eli Cohen showed great sympathy for the soldiers stationed here and, in the course of conversation, proposed to the Syrian military officers that they plant shady trees here to protect the soldiers from the heat. The Syrian military officers also liked Eli Cohen's proposal and soon had trees planted at every outpost on the Golan Heights. The Syrian army would not have thought even in their worst nightmares that the very trees they were having planted, considering him a well-wisher, would later become their mortal enemies. These trees marked the outposts on the Golan Heights. Later, during the Six-Day War, Israel benefited greatly from this, and the Israeli army captured the Golan Heights from Syria in just 2 days because of these trees. Mossad was very pleased with Eli Cohen's work. He was exceeding all their expectations. The icing on the cake for him was when Amin al-Hafiz became Syria's president in a 1963 military coup. Amin al-Hafiz becoming president brought a golden opportunity for Eli Cohen. His friendship with Amin al-Hafiz dated back to their days in Argentina. Therefore, he now had direct access to the Syrian government. Soon, high-ranking ministers in the government became his friends. Eli Cohen even began to attend Syrian government meetings. The advantage for him was that he could easily find out every internal matter, which he would secretly pass on to Israel. Through Eli Cohen, information about Syria's military cooperation with Iraq, regular supplies from the Soviets, Eli Cohen had now lived among his enemies for 2 years, and with direct access to the Syrian president, his political influence grew immensely. He'd give political advice to leaders, then turn around and criticize military officers for their strategies. He would first criticize Israel to army personnel, then complain that our Syrian army isn't aggressive enough. Hearing their criticism in front of everyone, the Syrian generals' blood would boil with anger, and to prove their strength, they would themselves take Eli Cohen to the Syrian border and show him the weapons, artillery, and tanks there. In this way, Eli Cohen would also easily get his hands on major Syrian military information. There was even talk of Eli Cohen joining the Syrian cabinet. President Amin al-Hafiz was so impressed with his approach that he wanted to make him the deputy defense minister, while many people started considering him a contender for prime minister. But it wasn't that everyone liked him. There were also some people who were annoyed by his tendency to give an opinion on everything and secretly hated him. Among them was Colonel Ahmad Suidani of Syrian intelligence, who did not like Eli Cohen at all. Eli Cohen also knew this well, so he was engaged in his work with great caution. During this time, he met Mohammed bin Laden, the father of Osama bin Laden, who was a Saudi engineer and had received the contract to work on Syria's Jordan River project. Cohen learned from Mohammed bin Laden that Syria wanted to cut off Israel's water supply by diverting the water sources of the Jordan River. 30% of the water consumed in Israel came from the Jordan River and its 3 major tributaries, the Dan, the Banias, and the Hasbani. To stop water from reaching Israel, Syria used diversion equipment and engineers to build canals and dams on the river. When this news reached the Israeli think tank, it caused a panic among them. Mossad now wanted Eli Cohen to send the water diversion project's engineering plans, diagrams, and maps. Complete information about this project was with 2 senior Syrian army officers, Colonel Hatoun and Colonel Dali. So Eli Cohen befriended them both, and slowly, right under their noses, gathered every bit of project information and sent it to Mossad. A few days later, On November 13, 1964, when Syrian forces attacked Israeli tractors near the border, the Israeli Air Force retaliated by striking the dams and canals on the Jordan River, and the attacks were so precise that Syria's water diversion project was reduced to rubble in just a few hours. Israel's precise attack stunned the Syrian government, as only its top military and political officials knew about it. The Syrian government now sensed that Israel couldn't possibly carry out such precise, timely attacks without prior intel. They had become convinced that there was definitely a Mossad agent among them. Their information was reaching Israel very quickly, so they also deduced that radio transmission must have been used to pass the information. After this, Syrian counterintelligence officers began searching for these spy transmitters, but despite several strenuous efforts, they were unsuccessful. During this time, Eli Cohen went home to Israel on some pretext. He was also starting to feel deep down that continuing the mission was no longer safe. He also told this to Mossad, but Mossad convinced him to go back for one last mission. Eli Cohen reassured his wife not to worry and to take care of their 3 children, saying he would soon return home for good. On the other hand, the Syrian government, troubled by the leak of its secret information, wanted to catch the Israeli spies as soon as possible. For this, Syria reached out to the Soviets for help. In January 1965, the Soviets sent advanced security and transmitting equipment to Syria. Although Eli Cohen had reluctantly returned to Syria, he now began to make several mistakes unknowingly. Mossad had told him several times to use the radio signal for information only once a day, but he often broke this rule when he got his hands on some major intel, and would transmit the information to Israel at any time. This very carelessness was leading him towards a death he would not have imagined even in his worst nightmare. Syrian intelligence soon began to use Soviet equipment. To check this equipment, the army's transmissions were shut down for 24 hours. All transmissions were off, but a radio message was still being transmitted from one location. So they started tracking this radio signal. This signal was leading them down a dark path to a house that was the hideout of Eli Cohen, alias Kamel Amin Thabet. No one had the courage to enter this house, so they returned. When a senior officer was told about this, he, in turn, pointed a finger at his own staff, saying that those conducting the checks must have made a mistake. That same evening, the spy transmission started again. The Syrian officers followed the signals once more. The signal once again led them to Kamel Amin Thabet's house. You might be fooled once, but not repeatedly. Kamel Amin Thabet's personality and his good image among the Syrian people could no longer keep him out of the circle of suspicion. In this situation, the Syrian army made a secret plan to catch him in his own house. At 8 a.m. on January 24, 1965, Syrian forces stormed Kamel Amin Thabet's house. The moment the army entered his house, he was busy pressing the transmission buttons. Therefore, he was caught red-handed. Kamel Amin Thabet was shocked to suddenly see the army inside his house. But now his game was over. He was arrested for the crime of espionage and was severely tortured in prison. In this situation, Eli Cohen confessed, but he did not reveal any of Israel's secret information to Syria. Israel tried very hard to get him released. Israel appealed to foreign diplomats to intervene and also offered a large ransom to Syria, but it was of no use. President Amin al-Hafiz, who considered Eli Cohen a close friend, was deeply shocked by this betrayal. He had personally interrogated Eli and was shocked to learn that Eli was not a Muslim, but a Jewish spy. He and many senior officers and ministers had a deep relationship with Eli Cohen, so a trial was hastily conducted in a military court, and he was sentenced to death by hanging. Before hanging Eli Cohen, he was told that if he wished, he could write a final letter to his wife and children. After this, Eli Cohen wrote a very emotional letter to his wife. My dear Nadia, standing at death's door, I am writing these last words of my life to you. I apologize to you for my fate. Because of me, you and our children will have to endure this sorrow. But Nadia, after I'm gone, take care of our children, give them a good education and upbringing. I request you not to waste your life grieving for me. Move on in life and, if possible, get married again so that our children can have a father figure. After this, Syria completed all preparations to hang Eli Cohen. On the midnight of May 18, 1965, he was woken up and taken to a square in Damascus. A large poster was pasted on his chest, which described his crime and punishment in Arabic. After that, he was hanged in front of everyone. His hanging was broadcast live on Syrian television. His dead body hung there for the next 6 hours, and people passed by, looking at it in the square. Syria also refused to return Eli Cohen's dead body to Israel. When the Israeli media broke the news of his death, a wave of mourning swept across Israel. Everyone had tears in their eyes. Though the Israeli public had never even heard his name, Eli Cohen became a national hero overnight. Israel's decisive victory in the 1967 Six-Day War and capture of the Golan Heights was due to Eli Cohen's intel. As a tribute, Israel built the Elaid settlement in the Golan Heights, a permanent reminder to the Israeli people of his sacrifice. Eli Cohen received an honor for his work that very few spies ever get. Who knows how many special agents there have been in the world who sacrificed everything for their country, but in return, they couldn't even get their country's recognition, let alone respect. Such is the story of India's brave spy Ravindra Kaushik, famously known as the Black Tiger, who not only changed his name, religion, and identity to extract secret information for the country, but also went to Pakistan, married a local girl, settled down, and became a major in the Pakistan army. To know his full thrilling story, you can watch our previous video, the link for which you will find in the description.